Yeah, a mic's going to come to you if you just keep your hand up.
So I want to follow up on Peter's comment because I'm part of the older generation who's been involved with a lot of experimental film and what we used to say is gay film, which is now like queer film. I was really, and I say this in a positive sense, looking at all these films. So this is a comment and then kind of a question. I was struck and really shocked in a positive way by how much you all externalized your interior struggles on the screen. I think that's an act of vulnerability. I'm not a filmmaker, but I'm a curator, et cetera. That is, I think, very pronounced because I think there's a generational discussion here. It seems that these kinds of traumas of all of you kind of at that age expressing sort of similar struggles was something just very sort of kind of new, I think, and refreshing. And in terms of the pleasure, I would just ask the question to kind of counter what Peter says. Not being a filmmaker, but hearing filmmakers speak, isn't the pleasure not only in the healing, but the pleasure of making the film? And that it's really a question, it seems to me that this is more a question, the films you showed are more an issue, not so much of sex acts, even sexuality, as of defining your identity. Would you agree with that or disagree?
So it's essentially the pleasure is in the making of the film.
And in identity.
Okay, and in identity. Thank you.
Yeah, for me it was very therapeutic, and it, yeah, I think like what I said before, maybe goes through like a whole archive of stuff I have, and yeah, it is a movie about like coming out and like transitioning and things like that. So like the seeing, just like looking at myself like progress, I guess, as I was making it, and then coming to like the conclusion of like, oh, I'm finally like relieved and happy. Yeah, just seeing it all together in one movie, like really like makes it like sorry, I'm like a stutterer.
Just because you haven't mentioned it, can I just ask why you picked Gwyneth Paltrow, AI Gwyneth Paltrow?
Well, first, her voice is really soothing, and at the time of making it, I was still getting my master's, and I was using Speechify to like read stuff to me, and then I was like, oh, it would be so funny if Gwyneth Paltrow like read my trauma dump. That'd be so funny. And so I put it in Speechify and like listened to it, and I was like, wow, this sounds pretty good. And that's how that came to be.
To answer that question, making the film, and like it was really healing and amazing, because I haven't like made a film before this for some time, so I was like really, really excited to make a project on film with my friends, because like even just like making something on film is like, it's just like such a process, and it's like working, you have to like really work together, and it's like a really intimate experience. And yeah, so I feel like making it was like so much of it, and like so much of my healing, for sure.
Yeah, the process of making it, I mean, because it's a found footage piece, and I didn't really collaborate with anyone on the film, and it was a really private creative process, and I sort of almost wrote the poem and then made the film really kind of for myself, and didn't think much about, it was all about that process of making and experiencing my own catharsis through that privately. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, to answer that too, I would say there was kind of sort of like the the dream I had of being able to just kind of float above my body, and just kind of see everything sort of, you know, abstractly from myself. And so putting all of that, you know, all of the fears and things that I was trying to forget, and things I was trying to remember, and just to put it in some place to be able to see it sort of externally, you know, kind of achieve that goal.
Yeah, I first want to actually like thank you for bringing up the vulnerability aspect of it, because I think like personally, every time I screen this film, it feels like I'm like getting undressed in front of everyone. And I like almost had a panic attack before the screening because I was so nervous of how many people were going to be here. And definitely I agree with everyone in saying that it was healing and it was vulnerable, and all those were true. But also I think the point of experimental films for me personally is in the word experiment, and like sexuality, like identity, it all happens through experiments. Every shot here and every word, like I workshopped every cut of it and like the timing of it so many times, and that was really fun for me. I liked moving it around and it feeling like, you know, like film is like controlling time, so it felt like I could sort of, it was empowering in many ways. And also so much of the film was archival, and I did catch a bit of archive fever, and I don't know if people are gonna get that reference. And it was joyous. You know, I was going through all those moments that were good and thinking about those moments that were good and focusing on the good parts. And I think after the sort of event that triggered me to, or led me to make that whole strobe sequence, I wrote that section, and then I knew to myself I couldn't end it there, and I had to write the epilogue where it was like, but all of these things that are the good parts, you know. So yeah.
Well, thanks very much for all being here, showing there's such a great audience for queer experimental film here in New York, and congratulations and thanks again to all the filmmakers, and we'll see you at the party tonight.